I do remember one, I think maybe I was in maybe third or fourth grade at the time. And I said something, and I ended up saying, you know, Daddy, yes, because we're rich. Dad said, we're what?
Janet Silvera, and I am from Western Jamaica, Montego Bay. In fact, I'm a Montegonian, born and bred, come right from under the clock. And you know, Western Jamaica is the fastest growing region in the Caribbean. But very few of our people are recognized, are showcased, are highlighted. And so I am introducing to the world West Side JA, a show which will celebrate the power brokers out of Western Jamaica. And I am pleased to introduce to the world one of our youngest and one of our most ambitious young women in Western Jamaica, Shari Munroe. She's only 36 years old, and this girl is a dynamo.
Oh, thank you,
Shari,
Janet.
Some days I wonder how you do it.
When I hear you, introduce me, it's almost like I want to turn around and figure out who you're talking about. But I thank you, and I am happy to be here and happy to, highlight Montego Bay, highlight some of the great things that we're doing here at Aristo Kat Tours in Montego Bay.
In fact, I should have mentioned that we are on one of 5 boats that Shari operates under the Aristocat Tours.
Yes.
Right? Did
yes.
I pronounce that properly?
You did. You did. You sound just like an Aristocat. So yes, this is one of our 5 vessels. This is our Majestic-Cat vessel, the newest in our fleet. So you are enjoying, our lovely flybridge area up here on the Majestic-Cat.
Girl, you know how proud I am of you. You already know because I tell you on a daily basis, and I hope that you don't think that I'm going to ever stalk you. But it's because of your age and the fact that I like to see young people do well.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's also critical for us here in Jamaica to encourage our young people. You grew up in the capital of casual, which is Negril, right?
Yes, it is.
And you also grew up in a hotel. I know that could not have been easy. Your parents also operated a water park.
Yes.
And you would have had access to it. Yet a lot of young people would have to wait until their school trip to go to a water park. How is it that, would you ever consider yourself rich, or did you think your parents were rich?
So, you're absolutely right. I had a very privileged upbringing, for lack of a better term. And I do remember one, I think maybe I was in third or fourth grade at the time. And I said something, and I ended up saying, Daddy, yes, because we're rich. Dad said, we're what? And he turned around and said, who told you that you're rich? And I said, but, we have this, and we have that, and we have that. And he said, you're very lucky to have access to some of the things that I have given you access to. But we are not rich. We are doing well. Things could change tomorrow. And we need to be appreciative of what we have. So we don't walk around calling ourselves rich. We acknowledge that we have been blessed. And that is what I continue to do, is to acknowledge my blessings.
So, over the years, you have remained humble. Is that how you have been able to ensure that humility?
I think so. As I mentioned a while ago, my parents have been a large part of that humility. A lot of the values that myself and my siblings have been taught is, no matter our success, it is to remember where you're coming from and remember the people that are a part of that success. So, you know, although I am at the head of this organization now, and I've viewed my parents at the head of organizations, they have always treated everybody with respect, understood the importance of their whole team, you know, at the hotel, from somebody raking up for landscaping all the way up to the manager. Everybody is a part of making that product successful. And, you know, I think that remembering that is a large part of making you humble. You know, if all of those people got up today and said that they're not going to work, you would have no product. You would have none of this success.
You know, Shari, when I researched your background and I saw where you went to law school to become a lawyer, but you didn't bother with law. You instead returned to the family business, and now you're heading the family business.
Yes. Yes.
Why was it that you never wanted to become a lawyer?
So I think that for many Jamaican children, you know, there is this traditional vibe of wanting your son or daughter to become a professional. You know, I am the daughter of a doctor. I quickly realized that medicine was not for me. And I, you know, growing up, I was the loquacious one. I could, or for lack of a better word, I could chat, right? And everybody said, boy, you're going to be a lawyer. You're going to be a lawyer because you chat so much. And naturally, after when I went to college, everybody said, well, what are you going to be? So I said, I'm going to be a lawyer, because everybody all my life told me that I had to be a lawyer because of, you know, the amount that I spoke. And I had an interest in the law, so I went and I did everything I think that I was told, but realized during law school that I don't really think it's what I want to do. It's not my calling. I enjoy interacting with people. I enjoy Jamaica. I enjoy tourism. So I think that although I went and I am glad that I have the law degree, I think it taught me a lot that I still am able to apply outside of the legal realm, but tourism is in my DNA and has always been calling me. So I'm now finally able to answer that calling and, you know, run a business here in the tourism sector.
Fantastic. You attended a Montego Bay High School as well?
Yes, I did. I am a proud past attendee. So I didn't graduate from Montego Bay High School, but I am still very loyal and you know, consider myself almost like a graduate, but a past student, I think is a better word of Montego Bay High School. Some of my best friends I met when I went to Mo Bay High, they are still my best friends today. And, you know, the foundation that I built there.
We're talking about Anna Kay and Kelly?
Anna Kay and Kelly, you know it. Like, if you know me, you know Anna Kay and you know Kelly, you know. Those are two of my best friends that I, you know, we nurtured our relationship at Mo Bay High. We knew each other from before then, but we definitely became closer while I was at Mo Bay High.
Nice. You are the mother of a, what, 3-year-old going on to what?
Three-year-old really going on 30, but in chronological age, 4. So he'll be 4 in February. Yes, mm-hmm. And he is the light of my life. I feel like it's so cliche, I feel like, to say my purpose. But you feel that way. Like, you feel, I definitely, when I became a mother, felt a greater sense of needing to accomplish something, to go out into the world and leave some kind of legacy or some kind of mark, because I want to impress him. I would like him to be proud of me. I want him to say, well, that's my mommy, and my mommy did this, and my mommy did that. So if it is almost from a selfish perspective, I'm inspired by him and motivated.
You have been watching West Side JA. We'll be right back.
All memorable moments include delicious food. Good food can transform the ordinary into extraordinary. We welcome more good times together, more memories we won't forget.
Rainforests always I make delicious moments.
We're back with Westside JA, and let me tell you something. I have always wanted to find out from you, Shari, how it was that you started a company in the middle of a pandemic, right? In the middle of a pandemic, right?
Yeah, in the middle of a pandemic.
And you have grown, I mean, I like use the word leaps and bounds, you know, but that you do, you know. And I also want to talk to you about breast cancer. But
Okay.
we'll talk about that
We'll get there.
we talk about Aristo Kat.
Right.
And whether or not you have heard the expression aristocrat, you know, how does that name come about?
Well, so to
First
be
of all.
fair, all right. So in terms of the name, I can't take credit for the name. I would like to, but you know, it is a family business, and you know, my father is the head honcho, the captain of the ship, so to speak. And he came up with the name Aristocat. So Aristocat obviously is a play on words for Aristocat, because we envisioned the company as the luxury or aristocratic alternative to catamaran and to cruising as it currently existed here in Jamaica.
But you
So
started out in the pandemic. Did you ever think that it would have been this successful? Talk to me. You started out with how many boats?
definitely not.
How
So
many
okay,
boats you
so
started
so
with?
let me just correct one thing.
You didn't.
So we started even worse actually, because we started just before the pandemic, but with a different business model.
Oh.
So when we started, you know, our first boat is MS Aristocat. So it looks more like your traditional catamaran, but it's a little bit smaller. So we wanted to offer the same shared tour experience, which is where, you know, several different people would come together, but we wanted it to be smaller. We started in the grill just before the pandemic, gaining a little bit of traction, and then the pandemic hit. We had to close for a little while and regroup. Right? During that time, we brought MS Aristocat over to Montego Bay because we could keep a better eye because I live in Montego Bay. When we were allowed to open, it kind of was a perfect storm of events, I think, during the pandemic. So it was the pandemic, but we got lucky with several things. With having a smaller vessel, focusing on a more intimate experience, being able to now offer private tours. We thought and we said, all right, well, what can we do? Right now, during the pandemic, everybody was locked up. They were inside. It was like everybody was itching to get outside, right? Itching to be on the water. We had this vessel and we said, listen, why don't you socially distance from everybody else, but with your friends, with your core set of people, come on this boat, have a good time. You don't have to worry about anybody else. You come and do this private tour. So this is how we, you know, took the pandemic and pivoted our business and started with that vessel. And it turned out that it worked. There were, you know, when the borders opened up, people were coming to Jamaica. They wanted to get out, but they were still a little bit cagey about doing some of the experiences that would have them exposed to other people. So having a private tour where they could get out on the water, still enjoy Jamaica, but not be, you know, I guess scared of contracting the virus was something that was very necessary, and you know, it took off, thankfully. Knock on metal.
So tell me the names of the boats now.
So the names of thankfully, so Dad came up with Aristocat. We'll give him that. After Aristocat, we quickly expanded and purchased Fancy Cat. Fancy Cat was me.
You're fancy.
Fancy Cat was the name I came up with.
Oh,
I said,
okay.
I saw a picture of the boat and I said, you know what, that is our Fancy Cat. It's fancy and it's nice. We're going to go with Fancy Cat. Since Fancy Cat, we acquired then Sophisticat, which was my mother. So as I said, it's a family business. So everybody has their input. And then you're now on Majesticat. To remember who was Majesticat, I think that may have been Dad again. So now we're on Majesticat. We have a fifth boat in the fleet, which is the only one that doesn't have the cat name, and that is Empress Cool Runnings, which is a nod to a prior business. So it's still all intertwined, and I think with the name Empress, it still has that kind of regal sounding name that is befitting
That
of
one
the
is
brand.
affiliated with Cool Runnings Water Park?
That one is not quite affiliated with Cool Runnings Water Park. It's inspired by Cool Runnings Water
Okay,
Park,
fine.
so to speak.
Incidentally, does your family still operate Cool Runnings?
Family still, it's no longer in operation, so Cool Runnings is closed for a little while we regroup and kind of figure out next steps, but it is still in the family until we figure out how to open and operate again.
So you get most of your business for Aristocat
Yes.
from the various hotels or tour operators or the internet?
The internet was a big thing for us. As I mentioned, the pandemic was a perfect storm of events, right? We were all at home, we're scrolling on Instagram, we're looking at all of these aspirational photos of people out on the water living their best life. So what we tried to do was to curate an Instagram page with a lot of those pictures and experiences. So initially we reached out to several local influencers to come out, take pictures of themselves that we could then promote on our Instagram. And we built an Instagram following. And from there, we got a lot of inquiries through our social media pages, our Instagram and our Facebook. And that continues today. We have a pretty robust website. We do a lot of Google marketing. So it's mostly the internet as well as several villas and hotels. So we are now starting to form kind of more partnerships, I would say, with the villas, hotels and tour operators.
What's the smallest group any of your boats can handle, and what's the largest group?
Right. So as I mentioned, we are Aristo Kat Tours, just to step back and give you an overview, as I mentioned, is the luxury alternative or the intimate alternative to going on a larger catamaran with a lot of people. And so along the lines of that intimate experience, we can have groups as small as 2 people, as small as 4 people, going all the way up now to, with the addition of Majestic Hats, going all the way up to 50 people. So we can cater to all kinds of experiences, right? So if you, Janet, decide that you have a date, maybe.
I'm trying to find one right now.
Well, we'll work on that later. But you decide that you have a date and, maybe it's a couple's situation. So it's you and another couple and you guys want to get out on the water, have a private experience. It's something that you can do. Or you decide you're having a birthday party. You're inviting 49 of your closest friends, then you can come on and do that. So we are flexible to different types of groups and experiences.
I want us to go downstairs.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
I want us to talk about breast cancer.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Because I know that you have had a relationship, too close a relationship with breast cancer, but
I have a
you're
complicated
really,
one.
Really true survivor.
Thank you.
survivor.
So let's go on down and we can see the rest of the Majestic Hats.
You have been watching West Side JA. We'll be right back.
All memorable moments include delicious food. Good food can transform the ordinary into extraordinary. We welcome more good times together, more memories we won't forget.
Rainforest always, I make delicious moments.
Yeah, so at 35, being diagnosed with breast cancer, I feel like that is the last thing that I expected, that I would go to the doctor and hear that is wrong with me. You think of every other possible thing, and at 35 you think of cancer as like an old people disease, right? So how could I possibly have cancer? But it happened, and I've learned a lot from it. But in terms of coping, it was a devastating diagnosis. I mean, I had a 2-year-old son at the time and a business that was booming and was very dependent on me. So the thought of getting treatments, figuring out child care and all of that, it was overwhelming. I would say for me, how I got through it though, you mentioned how long I was out for, is that I was never really out. Like I never really had a chance to dwell on having cancer, I think, or even process having cancer. I'm not even sure if I still have even processed that is what had happened and that is where I was, because I just had so many other things to figure out. I had to figure out the business. I had to figure out my son. I had to figure out care, coordinating chemotherapy, coordinating surgery. So there wasn't really much time to dwell on what was happening to me, I feel like. And I think that was helpful. I did not, sit around and think about all of my ailments or anything like that. I just kept moving. I just kept on, next step, foot in front of the other, and that got me through.
Wow. Did you get tired in the days at all? Because you know, a lot of people, when they're doing their treatment, I understand that sometimes you become lethargic.
Yes.
Did that ever happen to you? And did you have to cut off both of your breasts, or you still have them?
So my initial treatment plan was that I had chemotherapy and then I had surgery. So during chemotherapy, I felt there were some days where I felt tired, to be honest with you. But my chemotherapy was nothing like, I guess I'd only seen chemotherapy on TV and how it is depicted, and you know, you get up and you vomit as you walk or something like that. And I didn't have that, thankfully. I did have days where it did knock me down. I was being treated in Florida, and as I had tired days, but I also had days where I felt very great. Most of the time I felt great. I would have chemo on a Friday, and sometimes having chemo on a Friday, I would fly back to Jamaica on a Saturday. And then I would work for the 2 weeks in between the treatment and then go back to Florida. So it really it slowed me down maybe a little bit on some days, but I wouldn't say that I really had to stop doing a lot of what I was doing, which I think, as I said, was important to me and my journey in terms of staying positive and not dwelling on the negative aspects of what was happening to me. You know, I had, rather than thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, or what am I going to do, I was thinking about, how am I going to solve this business problem? How am I going to, you know, figure out how to break into a particular market or deal with some kind of maintenance issue that we were having. So I always had...
You were busy.
Yeah, bigger problems than cancer. So I think that really has helped. In the end, I did, as we've spoken about maybe in previous conversations, I did make the decision to have a double mastectomy, which is a major surgery. And I think that, to me, the most scary part of having that surgery was really thinking about, okay, so I can't come home for how long? You know, I had the surgery in Florida, so I was thinking and counting the days, like I'm going to be away from Jamaica for 3 weeks, you know, 3 weeks until I could come home. But thankfully, you know, I have a great support team, family, extended family, friends who have become family, that it's really, it could have been so much worse. I look back at the experience and I don't think of it as like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm over that. No, it's something that happened, and I take away a lot of positives from it.
You also had a party, I recall, a pink party.
I did.
That you called, I think, Boob Voyage.
Exactly. So that's my personality, right? I don't dwell on anything too negative. I try and, have my times where you break down, but I try and keep it moving. And I take every time to celebrate. Celebrate all of my milestones, and cancer was not the greatest milestone, but it was a milestone in my life as well. And you know, I was about to have surgery to remove 2 parts of my body that I'd had with me for 35 years. So I decided, why not make it fun? Let's do a boob voyage, so to speak. I was on a boat, so we, you know, instead of bon voyage, we call it boob voyage, you know.
I'm going to try to see if I find some of those photos.
Yes.
We're doing that boob voyage.
Yes. We like playing on words around here with the Aristocat name, so we kept the theme going, and we did a boob voyage. And it was wonderful. I think it was a great way to kind of go into know this surgery where I would have to be sedentary for, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks. You know, so I had all of the wonderful memories and aches and pains from dancing and winding down to the ground at my boob voyage. So it was perfect.
Shari.
You know, I don't mean, and you know what though, I feel like I also sometimes, maybe I'm allowed to do this because I actually went through it. I don't want anybody to think that I am by any means trivializing cancer or trivializing the experience. But I also think that there is a line to be drawn about just being all doom and gloom because it is this serious thing. And and recognizing that there's sometimes good elements that come out of bad things, and you don't have to make it all bad. You can celebrate the funny parts. You can laugh at cancer. You can laugh at some of your silly side effects, and keep it moving,
Fantastic. Let me ask you though, you are extremely busy. I can see that. You have a 3.5-year-old son. What do you do other than work? And where is your favorite place to go?
So I'm working, so I do have my Aristocat job, and then I have my mommy job, and it doesn't leave a lot of free time, but we're working on it. However, when I do have free time, we mentioned, my best friends. We mentioned Kelly and Anna Kay, and Pier 1 here in Montego Bay has always felt like home. So I feel like whenever I want to, these days when you want to go out, you don't want to have to go somewhere where you feel like you have to get all dressed up and be pretentious. I feel like Pier 1 is that place where you can go and have a good time. You can go out, you can get dressed up and present your best self, but it's not somewhere where you feel like it's a lot of effort necessarily to go. You go there and it's a place where people learn your name, and it's just a comfortable environment. So I think having drinks on the Pier 1 dock is probably my favorite place.
Have you ever had their salmon salad?
Of course I have. I've had every salad on Pier 1's menu.
It's the best.
It is.
And that mango sauce.
It's so good. So good.
Awesome.
Their tamarind chicken salad is great. I'm intimately familiar with the Pier 1 menu. There's nothing I haven't had. So I would definitely say that hanging out at Pier 1 is, when I do get out, is my place with my friends.
If you had to tell young people in Western Jamaica something positive about what they need to do to succeed in life, what is it that you would tell to them?
I would say two things I think are important. One is always presenting your best, right? Now, of course, in Jamaica, we all have varying tools in our tool house or in our wheel kit. So whereas we might feel like, well, we don't have the business attire to present ourselves at a particular business meeting, it's important that you always look your best in what you have and put your best foot forward. And I think that is something that carries you farther than you think. I think it is summed up in always trying to put your best foot forward and doing the best in whatever you're doing and whatever task you're doing. I think that people recognize things that you may think that, it's just I have the opportunity to talk to some manager, but it's a very informal conversation, so I'm going to dress informally and I'm not necessarily going to put my best foot forward. Mm-hmm. I think it is important with every opportunity that you present yourself in the best way that you can. I also think it is important to find something that you love and put your heart into it. It's something that, of course, you hear all the time, and it sounds cliche, and you say, well, if I don't have any money, how can I, do the thing that I love? I obviously have to work and pay the bills first. I'm not saying that you don't pay your bills. I'm not saying that you don't work to sustain yourself, but you also, at the end of the day, have to make sure that you are working on something that you are passionate about. And I think that if you even start what you're starting as a side project, you pay your bills with your 9-to-5 job, you make sure that you leave time and you're not giving too much of yourself that you don't have time to work on your own dreams and passions. And I think that when you are doing something that you really like and you're passionate about, eventually, not right away, the money will follow.
Thank you. Thank you, Shari, for spending so much time with me.
Thank you for coming. I mean, I have been dying to get you out on the boat. It's just to figure out the right opportunity and time to introduce Her Majesty, Cat to you.
Boy, I tell you, and I don't even feel like I'm working.
But I mean,
And
it doesn't. That's how it's supposed to
And
feel.
on this boat, I don't feel as if I'm working.
That is how it's supposed to feel.